Hi, my name is Merley and I'm the Community Librarian at the Tillsonburg branch of the Oxford County Library. And my contribution to the local history fair today is to talk to you about seed libraries, and particularly how seed libraries are able to capture our local and cultural history. Traditionally, individuals who grew things for themselves or commercially, they grew what they needed and then they saved their own seeds for the next season. And the varieties of food and flowers was diverse and unique to the area, the soil, the climate, and the tastes and culture of the people who lived there. Over time, though, we have lost many varieties as the responsibility for saving and sharing seeds moved to the commercial seed industry. But there have always been local growers who kept growing and saving their favorite varieties. Seed libraries are an important way of preserving the local food and cultural history for tomorrow, both of the people who were native to the area as well as newcomers. So to illustrate my point, I want to tell you the story about the caribou potato. The caribou potato was bred as part of a Canadian potato breeding program in New Brunswick, and they distributed the new cultivars around the country, and one of them grew very well in the Caribou region in the central interior of BC. For a period of time in the 60s, it was grown commercially by up to 35 different growers who were licensed by the federal government to grow the caribou potato locally. The potato was described as late maturing. It had some really distinctive features. It had pink eyes and some pink skin at the eye, highly resistant to bruising, and resistant to some common bacteria and viruses that affect potatoes. The potato also had a disadvantage. It tended to cling to the vine. And so for individuals who might be harvesting potatoes for themselves, that's not that much of a problem, but when we're talking about a commercial harvest where machines are harvesting the potatoes, they were losing a lot of potatoes because they still clung to the vine and didn't come off easily. So in the late 70s, around 1976, the caribou potato was decertified by the federal government, which means that those commercial growers in the caribou region could no longer grow this potato. In fact, it was illegal for them. They would lose their licenses as commercial growers if they grew it. In the late 70s, though, a couple from the area who were traveling around heard the story from a local farmer about the caribou potato and how widely it was grown and how it had done so well in this region. And so they pursued his story to see if they could find some examples of the potato. And they had a really difficult time of it. No commercial growers, of course, were growing it. And they had to track down a lot of stories. Eventually, they did find a small group of potatoes, just a handful really, in a display about things traditional to the area. And they were able to acquire, I think, just 4 potatoes from that collection, and then began growing them out. And as seed savers do, they grew them and then shared them with others. And in many ways, through that process, they saved the caribou potato from extinction. But at one point in the early 80s, in their pursuit of finding the potato, so we're talking multiple years to find it, they wrote to the Ministry of Agriculture to see if the Ministry of Agriculture be of any assistance. And in the letter they received back, they were informed that the variety caribou can no longer be sold under any name and cannot be grown in seed. And it was suggested that if they were interested in growing something, that they needed to be sure to select and grow varieties that can be legally grown in Canada. So I want to tell you that story just to illustrate the work that is done in Canada to develop varieties that are suitable for our climate and specific to our regions, but also to illustrate what can happen through policy changes, but also what can happen on a local level through practices. And that varieties that could be useful and valuable down the road to support us and keep our food system secure could be lost. And so the local seed libraries have this very special place in communities to be able to protect the heritage and the cultural heritage of food and flowers and more, and preserve those things going forward. The Oxford County Library's seed libraries in Ingersoll and Tillsonburg are preserving the history of Oxford County through the seeds that are native to the area and the seeds that tell the story of the people who reside here and came here from many different parts of the world. We wanted to tell you this story and introduce you to the Seed Library because we want to invite you to help us to catalog and preserve the heritage of our community by, first of all, donating seeds along with their story to those collections. So by helping us to identify seeds and plants that are local to the area which need to be protected, and thirdly, by helping us to grow out and keep alive these varieties. If you are interested in supporting the seed libraries, please reach out to the community librarian in Ingersoll, Luke McKee, or to myself, Merley Wheaton, in Tillsonburg. I hope that you enjoy the rest of the local history fair. And if you are at all interested, please do reach out to talk to us about the Oxford County Library's Seed Library.